Hi, everyone. So, who's autistic this week? Nobody asked. Well, it's still fucking Catherine O'Hara, but she's dead now. What the actual fuck? That's so sad. Catherine O'Hara died. And she was so autistic and probably didn't know it. Oh, that's so sad. Like, I loved her. I've loved her since Home Alone, since I was like, however old I was when I watched that movie when it first came out. And my favorite was Schitt's Creek. Like, I loved her in that show, but damn, 71 years old, that's so young. Like, I mean, it is, in my opinion, like 71, like, you still have more life that you can live. Like, oh, this is just so sad. But I'm convinced that she was autistic. Um, and I feel bad for saying this, but Mayim Bialik is out, man. I stopped listening to her podcast a few weeks ago. I feel bad. Like, I'm not trying to trash her, but her podcast is just, it kind of veered off into like different stuff that I don't want to say woo woo. And, like they explored like lots it basically like it seems like it was becoming a bit more of a mental health podcast, which that's fine. You're allowed to evolve and stuff like that. I just didn't really care for some of the topics that they were going into and some of the people that they were talking to. And not to mention, like I think it was really just getting to me that I kept hearing like spectrum and autism and sensory stuff and neurodivergent and la 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 la, those kinds of words coming out of her mouth when she is of those things herself and doesn't know. So I couldn't do that to my brain anymore. So I just kind of stopped listening a few months ago. Not that anybody gives a shit, but I just thought I would share that because that's why, and just in case anybody's like, she hasn't talked about Mayim Bialik in a long time. Well, that's why. I just can't anymore. And speaking of autistic, so Alicia watches feel good shows. I don't like just that term, like feel good show. No, I just want to run away. Like I don't watch shows like that because um I just think it's just I think they're kind of cheesy. This is just my opinion. That's all. Like I know that there's people that like them obviously. I'm just not one of them. Like I prefer psychological thrillers. I prefer documentaries. I prefer stuff that makes you think, not like feel good shows to just put you in a good mood and, show like the bright side of humanity, which, whatever, that's important to see. But, anyways, Queer Eye. I've never been into that show. It's just, I don't know. I have to have like I have to have a show where like there's some fucked up people for me to watch. In Queer Eye. Like, yeah, you go find I don't maybe that sounded wrong. The people that they go and help, I don't view them as fucked up. I just view them as like people who are in, maybe they need a little bit of help. I just mean like fucked up human behavior kinds of shows, like serial killers, people who like take advantage of people and get away with it for years, like that kind of stuff. I don't want to watch a show where there's nothing like that because boring. So, anyways, so she was talking about like I guess there's like the last season or something, and she goes, I'm pretty sure the one of the episodes I just watched, the lady was autistic, and there was stuff about clothing that bothered her, and that's all I needed to hear. I was like, oh, look at my wife spotting us in the wild. Wow, you're getting better at it. So I'm willing to watch a show, a feel good show, if you say autism, I'm right there. Yeah, tell me, I'll watch it. So I watched that episode. By the way, I think there's only 5 episodes. I think that's the rest of that season, right? That the ending season. So like I'm going through the 5 episodes, reading the description, trying to figure out, can I figure out from the description what episode she was watching so I don't have to just like go through all of them, because what a waste of time that would have been. And it looked like that was the only like female lady on that on the thing on the final season, so I found the episode pretty quickly, and I really didn't have to say any of that. I don't know why I did, but that's how I deduced it, and I was pretty proud of myself. So that's probably why I mentioned it. Was I found it pretty quickly, and like the first 30 seconds or so, I was like, "Oh yes, that was a good episode." Like I really liked that lady. She'd be fun to be friends with. Um, and she's hilarious. Did anybody see that episode? And yes, totally autistic, and um I laughed like when they got to the part where let's try on like different kinds of clothing, and she's in like that clothing store, and I just could picture myself there. I was like, there would not be a damn fucking thing in that store that I would have been like, yes, please. Ooh, I would like to wear this. And she had that look on her face, and I'm like, man, they just don't get it, do they? They just, and I don't even think she knows that she's autistic. But I assume that about everybody. That's I need to stop that, because I'm just like, if somebody doesn't say it within the first 5 minutes, I assume they don't know that about themselves, which I know it's not true. But like really, I guess I just mean that I've never heard anything about that person being autistic, so I just assume that maybe they don't know. I don't know. My thinking isn't always like, I mean, it's pretty flawed. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Just trying to figure out what that was. Clothing. Oh, yes. And so I laughed when I saw her in there, and I laughed toward the end of the episode too, when she like came out to show everybody, like, when they did the big reveal, and she comes out in like the new clothes that she picked, and you could just see the look on her face. You just knew that as soon as everybody packed up and the camera crew left, and everybody went away, she was not going to touch those clothes anymore, except maybe to give them away. I don't know. That's just my feeling, because I don't know. Like, I know everybody's different, but I wear the same shit all the fucking time. I have multiples, same kind of t-shirt, same kind of shorts, same brands. There's nothing that stands out about what I wear, and I like it that way. And so there's nothing that I could think of that would possess me to change and wear different kinds of clothing, because they might also be comfortable too. Like, I found comfortable clothing. Why would I need to go in search of more? Does that make any sense? So, anyways, I don't think she really kept up with the clothing, but I liked that episode because it was an autistic person. Um, and what was I gonna say? So there's that. Um, so I have been I wouldn't say I currently am, but I've talked about uh being obsessed with David Beckham in my past. Um, because hello, it's David Beckham. Pretty. Oh, I love David Beckham so much. But anyways, so I remember, like, I have followed that dude, and I'm not talking about like I know his life closely. I just mean like I remember being back in the military, working a night shift when I found out that him and Victoria Adams were a thing, and that was such big news. I don't know why. I don't, just weird shit that my brain is like, let's hold on to this forever. Well, why are we holding on to that one, brain? Like, what is the significance for that one? So I've been there since the beginning. I was in England, stationed there when that happened. And then, like, it was just nice to be that close to David Beckham. But anyways, this is getting away from the point of the story, which is, I've seen documentaries. I even saw the most recent one that they did like a year or two ago on David Beckham and his wife and his family. And I always just kind of thought that they were normal people. I remember watching the documentary and thinking, oh, yeah, like Victoria's definitely like autistic or something. Like they just seems like decent people that haven't let fame get the best of them. And that's just my opinion. Um and then I'm wondering because I saw this like little, it's not really a documentary. It's more like a, what's that show called? Impact Nightline or some shit like that. And they did one on one of their kids. His name is Brooklyn. And I'm like, did they raise a fucking psycho and not even know it? Because basically, like, there's this whole like thing where like Brooklyn just like threw his parents under the bus and like is apparently going no contact with them and they're so controlling and la 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 la. Who knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe, but I don't know. Like, his eyes don't look like uh his eyes look like he could be a bit of a dirty soul is all I'm saying. Does anybody else agree with me? I guess that's why I brought this up was, does anybody else agree that perhaps it wasn't the parents? Perhaps there's nothing going on like there. Maybe like, here's what I think is going on. I like to create stories in my head, but I try to keep them to myself or to this podcast. And then I want to see if I'm right. So I'm just going to put this out there in case I am right. And then I will reference this episode so that I can feel good about myself when that day comes. But, anyways, I suspect we're going to see, like, I suspect, like, Brooklyn's going to be, maybe I shouldn't be, this is not what this podcast is about, bashing people. Um, I think that, sorry, my brain just glitches sometimes and it stopped. It's working now. I think that their son's a little fucked up. And I think that you're born into fame and, it can go one way or the other. You're either humble or you're just no soul. Is there an in between? Yeah, sure. But I think it's more like I'm very black and white in thinking anyways. I think that he let it go to his head and he thinks he's hot shit and he comes for money and blah blah blah. Like look how he just eats up the fucking limelight. Like, oh yeah, take pictures of me. Let me pose. Yeah. And he looks like he loves every little bit of it, but I don't know. Something looks like something happened to his brain that is not very good. And I bet you that he is a dirty little soul. Because I'm sorry. I can't. How am I sitting here gossiping? This is not me. No, it is. I just don't do it like publicly like this. I save it for Alicia. Did anybody watch what I'm talking about and think the same way that I'm thinking? This is all about me looking for validation too. I just need to know, did anybody else see what I saw in his eyes and think that like perhaps it's you, Brooklyn, perhaps it's not your parents? Because he looks like he could be a serial killer, but those people don't have looks. But then the eyes, oh, this was something else. So like forget that story. I'm already done with that. So I'm very obsessed with like the whole like just being a person. People are fascinating to me. Evil people especially. People with personality disorders especially, like just fascinating to me. And I've always talked about how like you just look at the eyes, like I know instantly. I don't sound like I'm very confident talking about their son, but like I really am confident. I am. I am very confident that there's something not right with that one. And so I realized it's not just the eyes, it's also the eyebrows. Like, go watch some documentary that you know it's about some evil motherfucking serial killer or something, and watch interviews that that person has done. Watch them like be animated. You know what I mean? Like, have a little oomph to like whatever the fuck they're sharing. Watch the eyebrows not move. Like, just watch. And so I was like, wait a minute, how have I never noticed this? I always notice the eyes, but the eyebrows are like right the fuck there. How come I don't notice that they don't move either? So, like, not only do I suspect that, like, evil people have dead eyes because they're just black, there's like, they're soulless in my opinion. Um, but like, the eyebrows don't move either. It's not just the eyes. So, like, thinking to some of the clips that I watch where people on that stupid Fox channel in the States are like pretending to be all upset about something, but their eyebrows don't move either. Their eyes are lying and their eyebrows do not match the intensity of the words coming out of their mouth. It makes no sense to me. And does anybody else notice that too? I don't know. It seems like a pretty big epiphany to me. Like, how did I never notice that it's also the eyebrows? So now you have two things that you can look for. But I mean, eyebrows do move on some evil people, but I can't even believe that this is what I'm on here talking about right now. But also, do you know what I can't believe? I can't believe that I was afraid to say the word evil like several months ago about like Evil Dick and the Minions. And I was like, people are going to judge me. People are going to think like whatever. And like, you know what? I was right. Evil is the right word. Everybody's using it to describe it because that's what we all see. And I don't know how I got to this tangent. So, like, where am I at with my notes? How much time am I at? Oh, no, 15 minutes. Okay. We'll just move on. So can you let me know if you think any of this stuff too? And then, or other perspectives. I'm not just a confirmation bias kind of person. Like, I like other perspectives. Prove me wrong, please. Um, Today, I would like to just say that this is an accomplishment. I'm 42 years old. I'll be 43 in June, and I made chili today, and it took me a whole hour, and it's in the crock pot. And I'm saying this because I'm proud, because I can't remember the last fucking time I was in that kitchen making anything that took longer than 5 minutes. And, you know, it's always Alicia that's like, you know what I'm in the mood for, or what would be good today. So today it's like fucking like no soul cold outside. That's how cold it is. No soul. Imagine how cold those people must be. That's how cold it is. And she goes, yesterday or the other day, she's like, "Oh, can you make us some chili this week?" As if that's something I do on a regular basis. Like, sure. And I don't even call that a specialty. Like people make a handful of things like that. These aren't my specialties. These are just things I happen to know how to cook because somebody made me learn them. I'm sitting here trying to blame her for the fact that I had to cook, which is true. I don't want jelly, but I guess I'll eat it because that's what I've been smelling all day. But, you know, I'm just on here to say I don't think it's ever going to get easier for me in that fucking kitchen. I had to turn on music and like listen to that in order to keep me in the kitchen, chopping up vegetables and like doing shit. And it's not even hard to make chili. It really isn't. The ingredients are simple. The crock pot does all the work, but like it's the cutting and then the sauteing and the other stuff and like the seasonings, and it just takes me like longer than I suspect it would take people who do this on a regular basis. And I was just annoyed that I had to make chili, but then I'm also proud of the fact that like I stuck with it and I made it and I could smell it all the way from the back of I'm back here in my room and I can smell it. And it smells pretty good, so hopefully it's edible. But I just wanted to say, um, that's how much I devoted to making food today. So that's my allotment for like at least the next few months. Because she's gonna want like homemade soup at some point too. And I wish I didn't know how to make things, but whatever. I am so lazy. I don't like the kitchen. And then, but also, what chili reminds me of is this is just a very all over the place normal episode. Um, I'm very grateful to have a home, to have heat, to have electricity, to have running water. Like sometimes it's just nice to remind yourself that like these are basic things that like the majority of us take for fucking granted because we have them. We don't have to think twice about them. And I don't like living that way. I like to like remind myself every so often like there are people that don't have like you know what I mean? I don't like to be comparing like look at me, but I feel bad that my mind is just running away with my mouth. Wait, is that the right way to say that? Is my mouth running away with my mind? This is all just gonna stay in and I regret it, but it's whatever. I don't know what I said just now. This is what happens when you have to be in the kitchen cooking for over an hour. Like you just lose all sense of time and like routine. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, anyways, did anybody see that really good movie that, wait, was I done making my point with the other thing? Oh, to be grateful. Man, what the fuck is up with my mind today? Um, if you haven't done it in a while, just stop and like remind yourself whatever it is that you have in your life, you know, feel grateful for it. What the fuck? That sounded so cringe, but like seriously, like, oh my God, this life is so hard. So, and this house is so tiny, and I live around people that I don't care to even like hear. But despite all of that, like, I am very grateful. God, I need to shut up. Okay, so like, by the way, this is all natural. This is just me on nothing but air. Um, Anybody see that like delightful little Melania movie? Millions and millions of dollars were spent on it. Anybody like purchase a ticket? Anybody gonna go like check that out? Like, what the fuck kind of a life is this? Like, what world are we living in right now? Where this is like real life. This is happening. This is like movie stuff you see in movies. Like, how is it that like you get people starving and dying? You got like this country turning into like a fucking like shit show. I mean, it has been one, but it's shit show with like, you know, yeah. Sorry, that's my mind just I don't know how to get the words out. I think I should just start over, but I don't think so. This is how my brain and my mouth. This is just how I sound, and it is what it is. And think what you want. I just gonna have this is just how it is right now. I feel like I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling like confused. I'm feeling like pissed off. I'm feeling disgusted. I'm feeling disappointed. Um I don't understand logic, like, but I don't understand the thinking behind the choices that people make. And like, I don't understand why things feel like they get normalized so quickly. Like, how the actual fuck are you spending millions and millions of dollars? Like, you had your stupid fucking wedding, Jeff Bezos. Now you're spending millions of dollars for the, like, deep in your little know so hard, like, you know that this is a piece of shit and you spent all that money anyways, all of that money for some fucking evil bitch that nobody gives a fuck about. And meanwhile, healthcare is unaffordable. People are like literally being shot in the fucking back. Like, military service people are having to stand in like food lines, like, and yet millions of dollars are being spent on a movie that like nobody fucking wants to see. And like her description of it, it was like, what was it? It's about fashion. And I didn't, that's all I heard. Like nothing. It's about nothing, you dumb bitch. Like you are nothing. I know, I sound unhinged, but I'm just gonna go with it. And then, speaking of documentaries, did anybody see that one that came out about the talk shows? I think there was like 3 episodes, and it was about like, you remember like those of you who grew up in the 90s, like the fucking talk show era? Well, like you didn't have to grow up then. You could have just been alive then, but I don't know. Growing up with it was something else. Like I remember my mom was totally into the fucking talk shows, and they were all over the place, like Phil Donahue, like Maury Povich, like everybody that they talked about in those documentaries. And I remember like watching like different episodes from them, and talk about barbaric times. Like, don't you think it's weird? Like, this wasn't even that long ago. We're talking like the 90s, late 80s, 90s, when like talk shows became a thing. And you look back to like Jerry Springer, you look back to like some of the people that they had on the shows and the stupid fucking topics that they had, and like how they normalized like somebody just slapping somebody else right there on stage. How they normalized dumb fucking bullshit. How they normalized like racism on the talk shows. Like I know this stuff is happening. It was happening in real life, and talk shows are technically like real life, but like it's just it seems so barbaric because the things that they said and did back then, you couldn't get away with saying and doing those things now. And like I feel like even like right now, like look at the barbaric things I mean, I don't know. Just do you even know where I'm trying to go with this? Maybe I should just like maybe I'm afraid if I say anymore, it will definitely not make sense. But it's like it's just strange to me how like you can live through something and not really realize just how bad it really, really is until like time has gone by and you look back on it with like a different lens or a different perspective and you're like, oh shit, like how the fuck did we think that was normal? And like I don't know where I'm going with that. So I'm just gonna stop there and end this episode. 25 minutes of what? I don't know. And I would definitely appreciate some sort of feedback. Is there anything else you want me to talk about? Anything. Anything. Um, anything? Hmm. Okay, thanks for listening, I suppose. I hope you got something out of this episode. I would like to hear from anybody, somebody. I have no idea how this podcast is landing anymore. So like, come on. I need to know. Please, please help me. Man, can I just get my brain back to normal? Can I just get it back to normal? I wonder like what my episodes sounded like before Evil Dick took over. I bet you they were a bit more pleasant, less scattered. Am I right? Right? Anybody been listening that long? Okay. Tell all your friends about me. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.